Beware! All things creepy and crawly scour this Stranger Things list. This video is counting down all the monsters in the Stranger Things world. Every entry is based on strength and threat to humanity. So yes, all the big names are on here, plus a few surprises. Stay tuned. It's all here for the latest video from the Binger. Before we start though, be warned, spoilers are ahead, so proceed with caution. Opening up the list is a basic threat. Some don't consider the rats in Season 3 to be a monster, but we do. They were crucial to the re-emergence of the Mind Flayer, and that needs to count for something. In other words, the term monster will be used rather flexibly in this list. Just get ready for it. Besides, the rats aren't normal. Yes, these little pests get into homes all the time. They don't normally eat your fertilizer though, so that's gotta count for something. Not to mention, they appeared super aggressive. You can't tell us you'd be comfortable in a room alone with one of these things. The big reason these little guys are at the bottom of this countdown is because we don't see them do much. The potential to be a threat is there, but the action never came. The only point they served in Season 3 was a means to an end. They were ooze food for the big bad evil guy. Sure, fans wish the series showcased a little more of the rats to make them feel like a threat. However, any further discovery into their purpose would have delivered the mystery too far in advance. They were sideline monsters and nothing more. All the viewers left with is thoughts of what might have been if the creators chose to use these creatures more. Yes, the vines totally count as a monster. These things were sentient and offered a ton of danger for a few characters. They may get overlooked in the Stranger Things canon, but don't sleep on these slippery pieces of upside-down greenery. They'll ruin your day. No one is totally clear what the vine's intention is in the story. Fans only see them 2 times used to their full extent. It makes it hard to tell where they come from and their full purpose. Some argue they're part of the Mind Flayer and used to make more Demogorgons. Meanwhile, others say the vines are their own being that still end up creating Demogorgons. Regardless, the official purpose is still a bit murky. The 2 times we did see them in action, the consequences were dire. The first was when Will was shown with a tendril in his body. Many viewers assumed it was a Ridley Scott Aliens illusion that showed audiences where the monsters were coming from in the first place. The second time we saw them connected them more to the Mind Flayer. The vines purposefully seek out Hopper and trip him up. They then wrap themselves around him and bind him to the ground. Thank God for Bob, or Hopper would have been toast. The vines cause a few more problems for the main characters throughout that final climactic adventure. So while not the biggest threat in Hawkins, they do prove to be a huge danger. Time after time, these nasty little plants manage to delay the group's progress and capture key characters. It's creatures like these that you never expect, but certainly provide more of an impact when you think about it more. We hear you, comment section. Technically, Dart is a Demodog. No one here is disagreeing with that sentiment. We include D'Artagnan as his own entry as a way of separating Demodogs from their earlier stages of development. Think of Dart as a showcase of the life cycle leading up to the bigger threat. Dart as a young pup is nothing to scoff at either. Even as a young pollywog, he's still a threat. Definitely more of a threat than the rats or the vines at the very least. Sure, he simply chowed down on some nougat in this early stage, but that doesn't mean he wasn't capable of worse. This little guy started growing quickly too. The first 3 stages of his growth were with Dustin. By stage 2, Dart was capable of harming any one of the main characters. Sure, he wasn't going to ruin their day completely, but he wasn't a safe pet either. The dude had some serious teeth. Of course, the last stage before his full growth was his worst. He ends up getting a taste for something that's not a candy bar. Poor Muse. That cat's in a better place now. It was the last straw that proved to Dustin that he made a mistake keeping Dart as a pet. Of course, our next entry shows that the threat was only growing into an even scarier monster. Originally called DEMOGORGONS, these nasty creatures traveled in packs and made for a serious adversary. The scene out by the junkyard is one of the most intense moments in Season 2. If not for the heroics by the entire team, these monsters would have won the fight. Talk about a serious threat to the group. Demodogs are strong enough to tackle a full-grown human. They're not playing around, and it showed in Season 2. The pack of them cornered and threatened the group on a few occasions. The worst part was the large number of them. Consider the amount of these things there were running around Hawkins. It wasn't a large number, and yet they still turned out to be a menace. When only 3 creatures wreak total havoc, you know the monster is a bit too powerful. They proved to be a difficult opponent. Lucky for the protagonists, the series has 11 and a bat with nails stuck in it. Without those 2, these villains would have had the time of their lives destroying the town. Though they all ultimately lost when the gate closed, the end showed that they didn't have a ton of weaknesses. They just dug themselves underground when the sun came up and strategically cornered their prey. At the end of the day, it was a miracle the group was able to defeat them. Though he proved to be human in the end, GRIGORI earned a spot on this list. He's not a monster in the traditional sense, but the guy is a beast. He took so much damage and never let up. It honestly felt odd when he proved out to be just a regular guy. Consider the threat GRIGORI posed to Joyce and Hopper. The man was on a mission and never let anything else distract him. There's a reason a lot of his scenes were callbacks to the Terminator. This dude was a Russian machine sent on a job to keep their plan a secret any way necessary. We're still expecting him to be made out of gears and wires. GRIGORI is not only a monster, he's one of the most dangerous monsters in the series. Even the DEMODOGS didn't cause as much trouble as he did. Hopper, one of the bravest characters, is no match for this guy in a one-on-one fight. He is a one-man wrecking crew. We're not joking. It's fine that he turned out to be nothing but flesh and bones. Honestly, it makes his feats even more impressive. He took a wrench to the knee and kept walking. Anybody else in that show would have hit the ground and cried for their mommy. He takes repeated shots from Hopper and doesn't even blink. Seriously, Hopper was desperate to defeat this dude by the end. It took a last-ditch effort to finally vanquish this foe. The only other villain to get that honor is sitting further down on this countdown. Maybe if GRIGORI found a way to merge with the Upside Down, he'd become even more powerful. Actually, we're not going to go down that route. We don't want to give the Duffer Brothers any ideas. Just because Mike and Lucas stopped caring about Dungeons & Dragons doesn't mean we have to stop too. It was a bummer that Season 3 didn't include any D&D metaphors, especially since this one was begging to be used. Instead, the group decided to refer to these people as the Flayed. Yeah, come on guys, you could have done better. It turns out in Season 3 that the Mind Flayer was super busy colonizing a bunch of people in Hawkins to create a body for himself. These people turned into ooze and joined his being. Now, the connection to our character's favorite tabletop game is clear. Jublex is the demon lord of ooze. Clearly, the characters would have called him that if they still cared about the campaign. Still, a lot of people turned into juju zombies, which is the name we're using to refer to this massive hive of flayed people. The worst of them was Billy. As far as we know, he's the first person to get controlled by this monster. In fact, he's so useful that the hive is all turned into the beast except him. He proves to be the perfect host body. Talk about a serious dose of evil that paid off after the setup from Season 2. Every one of these zombie-like people could have been a threat, as the hospital scene proves. The moment you defeat one of them, they come back as an evil ooze monster. They were impossible to vanquish and turn back into normal people. On top of that, the whole group was able to hide from Eleven's powers. Talk about a serious stealth mission that turned out to be the ultimate attack on our favorite group of adventurers. Always pay homage to the first of many monsters. It's hard to believe the whole series started with just one Demogorgon as the big threat. As the characters grew up, so did the threats to their town. It's clear in the way that the Demogorgon was a simple threat compared to the troubles they've been through since its first appearance. However, at the end of the day, no creature proved as scary as this one. Poor Barb didn't survive the Demogorgon's attack, and Will was almost taken by it too. Only one other monster built itself into this big of a threat, but more on him later. This entry is for the Prince of Demons. The worst part of this vile beast is its ability to travel through gates easily. One moment the threat is right in front of you, and then the next thing you know, it's disappeared. Trying to track one down takes a lot of effort, as shown by Nancy and Jonathan's effort in Season 1. Plus, it can strike just about anywhere at any time. Let's just go over the Demogorgon's abilities really quick to round this entry out. First, it's got incredible strength and speed, so it can pursue any human. It can travel through dimensions and appears capable of minor telekinetic powers. Finally, it can heal from most injuries it receives. Talk about a collection of dangerous skills. This is one monster fans are happy doesn't exist in real life. Sometimes the obvious answer is still the best answer. There's a reason this antagonist is named after one of the most iconic Dungeons & Dragons monsters in existence. Mind Flayers don't play around, and this one is no exception. After all, every single conflict in Hawkins was started by this one villain. He's capable of taking over human bodies and using them to form his own monstrous form. He feeds off the weak in this small town and is basically indestructible as long as the gate to the Upside Down is open. Ultimately, no other creature in the entire series poses this big of a threat. The Mind Flayer is capable of taking over the entire world if he's left unchecked. The rats, the Demodogs, the zombies, and even the Demogorgon appear to be the products of this thing's master plan. Pretty much every single other entry on this list is caused by the Mind Flayer. He rules the evil people's schoolyard and doesn't even have a ton of weaknesses. Sure, the creature doesn't like heat. It's an inconvenience for him, but it doesn't hold him down forever. He even managed to put a stop on L's powers. This villain knows a lot about how the Upside Down works, and he uses it to his advantage. Among all the dangers imposed on this small town in Indiana, the Mind Flayer is clearly the most powerful. Did we get it right? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video for more content like this. As always, you can subscribe to keep up to date with all the latest from The Binger. We post videos daily, so you don't want to miss out.